Am I the a-hole for picking up my kids from camp? Me, 35, and husband 36, have been married for 10 years with 3 kids. My husband, let's call him Dan, works from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the week, and I work overnights on weekends, so I'm usually the one who drives the kids to all their activities. Yesterday, Dan had to get shots on his foot for his plantar fasciitis. The appointment was at 9 a.m., so I knew he'd be done by 11 a.m. I asked him if he would be able to pick up the kids from camp at 3 p.m., but he said no because he might not be able to walk after. I told him there's no walking involved, since the kids are usually waiting outside. He said it's my job to drive the kids and that he needs the rest. I know Dan, and I know that he would probably change his mind and pick them up later. So I decided to pick them up early, about 10 minutes early. Dan called me on my way home, screaming that I knew he wasn't feeling well and tired, and that I have wasted his time by letting him drive all the way there in rush hour traffic. He does this all the time, so I got tired of it. I feel like I have to add this. We've had this conversation our entire marriage. We're not kids anymore, so I've decided to stop playing that game. I've told him to mean it when he says yes, no or even a maybe and stand by it, instead of waiting the last minute and changing his mind. Those suggesting divorce need to calm down. It is an annoying habit that I wholeheartedly want him to change, but it's not a reason to get a divorce. Another edit, he did the same thing last week. I asked if he could grab milk on his way home from work, and as always, he immediately said no. I stopped everything I was doing, changed from my lounge shorts into jeans, and was waiting for him to come home so I could go to the store. He came through the door with a gallon of milk. He went to the store when he said he would. I wasted my time to change when I could have continued washing my daughter's hair. It's infuriating. Am I the a-hole for not eating cake that I knew I wouldn't like? To start off, a little background. I was diagnosed with autism a few months ago, but I've displayed traits of neurodivergency since I was a little kid. One of these traits was a major dislike of certain tastes and textures, as well as not always behaving accordingly in certain social situations. Not a lot of my extended family knows BC. I don't see them very often. BC, they live towards the northeast of the country while I live down in the southeast. So, now, on with the story. I, 17F, was at a family gathering with my extended family a few days ago. It was a big get-together with lots of different food and drinks. Around 5 p.m., a massive cake was brought out for everyone. It was a sponge cake, topped with whipped cream and various fruits. I knew I wasn't going to eat any of the cake. BC whipped cream, strawberries and raspberries which were on the cake, are some of the foods that agitate my sensory issues. I said out loud that I wouldn't like any and began to walk away. My cousin called after me and said that she worked really hard on it and it would be really disrespectful if I didn't even bother to try it. I tried to explain that I couldn't tolerate certain textures because of my autism. She said I was making up excuses and that I'm perfectly normal and just attention-seeking. I brushed her off and left the room and just chilled in the living room for a while. My mom took my cousin's side and said what I did was selfish and that I was using my disorder as a get-out-of-jail-free card. I went nonverbal until the next morning, and then that afternoon we drove home, where my mom grounded me for 2 days for how I treated my cousin. So Reddit, did I deserve my punishment? Am I the a-hole for making a joke when my friend told me she was pregnant? My friend Alice, fake name, 32F, and her husband have been trying for a baby for about 3 years. I, 29F, am child-free, but this has never caused a problem in my relationship with Alice. We would often joke about this difference, with me telling her stuff like she'll miss all the disposable income when she has kids and her comparing my dog to a human kid. Neither of us got offended with this joking and it was all in good fun. On Friday, Alice, a couple other friends, and I went out to lunch and Alice told us that she was 3 months pregnant. I jokingly said, "I'm so sorry. Let me know if you need a ride to the clinic." Alice flipped out and called me an insensitive bitch. I told her that I was joking but she wouldn't hear it and she ended up leaving. She hasn't responded to my texts and calls ever since. Our other friends are staying out of it and don't want to give their opinions. I understand that my comment would come off as rude if I said it to a stranger, but Alice knows me and this is how we joke with each other. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law that she didn't actually run a marathon? I've been a runner for as long as I can remember. I absolutely love it. I want running to continue growing as a competitive activity and as a just-for-fun hobby. I encourage and support newcomers to running, but recently I encountered a situation where I felt gatekeeping was necessary. My sister-in-law got into running last year, and she absolutely fell in love with it as well. Since I am also a runner, I decided I could connect with her on the topic. I wanted to hear about her runs, her progress, and maybe offer some helpful guidance if she wanted it. So, at a family gathering I asked her about running. After a bit of conversation, she mentioned to me that she ran a marathon. I was quite surprised. She ran a marathon after only getting into running a year ago. That is amazing. What incredible dedication and drive, I thought to myself. I was about to praise her for this incredible accomplishment, but then she explained this marathon in detail. It was a virtual marathon that she started late last year and apparently completed this year. Basically it was an app-based event where you tally up your running distances until you reach 42.2 kilometers, 26.2 miles. I chuckled slightly and told her that it's great she totaled 42.2 kilometers in that time frame, but it doesn't count as a marathon. I told her that marathons have time limits for completion, usually 6 to 8 hours. If they didn't, then I could claim multiple ultramarathons via the aggregate distances I ran in my life. It's disingenuous and in my opinion, undermines those who have actually ran a marathon. She didn't take this well. She called me an asshole, a bully, an elitist, and a few other things. I apologized for upsetting her, But I stand by what I said, she didn't run a marathon. I didn't press the subject at all and left it at that. She wouldn't speak to me the rest of the gathering. My wife agrees with me, despite not being a runner herself. She said her sister overreacted. Their mother said that I should have just let my sister-in-law believe that she ran a marathon. Maybe, I don't know, she is 23 years old, without any impairments. Validating her marathon would feel similar to lying to a child to boost their confidence. The difference is, she is not a child. Am I the a-hole for refusing to stop living my life for my kids? I got divorced a year ago. It was the best decision I ever made. I basically a maid for the family. It was awful, not to mention was working at the same time. Overall it's been a bit rough for the kids, with the youngest being 14 and the oldest being 17. They are doing well overall and we basically have a 50-50 split with custody. It's wonderful to have days off, so much new free time when they are not home, so I have been able to explore new hobbies. So I joined a models club. You build models and show them off. We met once a month to show off our creations. I love it. My 17-year-old messed up this week, volunteered for a bake sale, didn't tell me, and forgot to make cupcakes. I was about to leave for my meeting last night and he was panicking about not having it done. He asked me if I could do it and I told him no since I was leaving. He was also leaving to hang out with his friend. This morning cupcakes were not made since I wasn't doing it. We got in a huge fight about me not helping him out. I wasn't putting my life on hold for a simple mistake he did. He left for his father's and my ex also got in an argument with me about it and called me a jerk. Thank you for all the feedback. I am trying to teach him what the lesson I missed when married. Want more info on that? It is in a comment. If anyone has any ideas, I'm open for advice. I'm running out of time before college and he is with the man he learned this behavior half the time. The other two are willing to learn but he won't give an inch.